Hello and welcome to a brief screencast about DEPT and what setting up a DEPT project looks like. So I'm here in the DEPT GitHub repository, which I should note is private, and I'm just going to run through creating a DEPT stack. And so the first thing we're going to do is head on over to the DEPT documentation, which will tell us how to get started and how to do a bunch of other stuff. And there are, I should say, a few prerequisite steps, but those are boring, so we're going to gloss over those for now. But really, it all boils down to just copy-pasting this line of code, naming your project directory, and then letting the project scaffold on your local machine. And once that scaffolding process is complete, we'll give you some choices about what kind of project and what integrations you want to choose. So you can see we have a list here of some popular options, but I'm going to go ahead and select Other, and I'm going to choose my own integrations. So I'm going to do Shopify, Algolia, and Contentful. And then we'll go ahead and hit Enter. And then we'll ask you a few other options like how long you'd like to cache pages, what service you want to use for your deployment, if you want a staging and separate production environments. And then you'll see that Dash has removed all of the code and all of the integrations we chose not to use, and then we'll start installing global dependencies. And then the rest of the setup process takes about 45 seconds or so, depending on your machine. So with the magic of editing, we'll speed through some of this. And here we are, all finished. So now we'll just need a CD into our directory and then spin up the development server by running npm run dev. And just like that, we're off to the races. So I'll go ahead and open up localhost 3000, and here it is in all of its glory, DEPT And this homepage that we have set up has links to all of the documentation for the integrations you've chosen. So you can see here, there's some Contentful documentation on how to get started and move to your own Contentful space, as well as adding components, etc. So we'll hop back to the app here, and we can take a look at what kind of boilerplate we have set up for Contentful out of the box. And to me, one of the most important things that we've done is set up a demo Contentful instance, and that's where all of this data is coming from. And we've set up sample content types and sample components to render that content on the page. And then as we're looking at some more content types like a blog, we do also give you instructions for copying over all of these content types and moving to your own Contentful instance. And this just gives you a really nice starting point. And we've also done the same thing with Shopify. So if we go to our sample Shopify store, we have the whole integration set up with sample components using the Hydrogen framework. And then we also have the entire flow set up from adding a product to the bag, updating a little mini cart, and then the checkout flow, which goes directly to hosted Shopify's checkout process. And then while this is loading, it's worth pointing out that we've done this with all of our integrations, obviously not just these two. And we think this is just a really good way of showing a developer how the data would flow from their headless CMS provider or their e-commerce provider into a custom app that they're building using DEPT And just to show that we're not faking this, I have our Contentful management panel pulled up here that shows the different content types that we've created and just some examples of the boilerplate that we've set up for you. Okay, now let's briefly hop into the code just to see what the file structure looks like and how we've set up some of our React components. So you can see we have pretty clear-cut directories that correspond to each integration that you've chosen. We also give you some kind of utility functions and React components for SEO, etc. We've compartmentalized things like this to make it really easy to remove stuff or to find stuff, because we know that hopping into a big, strange code base can be a little bit scary. We've tried to put a lot of thought into how we organize these things, especially components like these here. We've also set up Storybook stories for each of them to make them easy to explore in Storybook. And yeah, here's just your basic component. I think this is a label. We try to not over-engineer anything to make them easy to edit and change as you continue working on your project and customizing everything. So that's about it. This has been a brief introduction to DEPT I hope you enjoyed. Thanks for listening.